Hi, this is Yvette Francino, and I'm here today with a friend, Rebecca Mullen. She has been a good friend for many years. We met originally because we're related. My daughter is married to her nephew, and we started talking at an event that we were both at and recognized we had a lot in common. We like to write, and we were both bloggers, and we just formed a really strong friendship. And I just think that Rebecca is such a wise, wonderful person that I knew she would be wonderful on this podcast today. Rebecca, why don't you tell our audience more about yourself and what you're working on now?
Yvette, thank you for inviting me today. And one of the things that I think is so funny about the way that we met, because even though we're related, sort of, we met at an event that had nothing to do with my nephew and your daughter. And we were laughing so hard that the person who invited me said, I have to know why you were laughing so hard. Because it was just fun to connect. And we have a lot in common. In terms of me professionally, I am a life coach. I talk to people about transitions. Oftentimes I'm working with people when they're in some kind of transition in life, like a new job, newly retired, new parent, new marriage. Any kind of transition is when all of our insecurities tend to come up. And we also, it's a unique time because you can kind of lean into a new set of habits when you have that. So that's kind of cool. So I like to capture that time. But oftentimes when people are in transitions, they're also just feeling not like they're on their feet yet. And so I help them with that. Having said that, that is what I traditionally have been doing, and I'm about to launch a class called Habits for Your Happily Ever After. This is the class I have been longing to teach my whole life, probably. I've been studying marriage since my parents divorced when I was 5, and it was not a good divorce. And so I've just been watching marriages and noticing what habits tend to take you in a good direction and what habits tend to leave wounds behind.
Yeah, I wish I had had you around back when I was married. I know that you do have such sage advice on, I've been in transition, and I know when we were talking a lot when I was, I've been through a lot of different things, including job loss and turning 50 and the death of my father and good friends. And you have always been somebody that really does know exactly the right thing to say, and really has that emotional intelligence. So I can imagine that any of your clients are really lucky to have you through those transitions. So what would you say is one of, like, a key, I don't know if you can have there isn't any magic formula, but what do you think are some of the best pieces of advice? And they ask us all this all the time. Whenever I go to a wedding, at the shower, that seems like the classic thing is that they want people to give advice. So I know a classic one is don't go to bed mad, for example, but are there others that you really just stand by?
Yeah, I think for me, the thing that, as I've been studying marriage all these years, mostly studying my own, because I feel like my marriage, I'm not in the same marriage that I married into, even though I'm with the same man. I think our marriage has died twice in those 33 years. Yeah. But I think one of the things I've really noticed is that inside of that singular marriage, there's kind of 3 relationships. We are partners. We own a house together. We raised children together. I put him through graduate school. That was all teamwork and partnership. And there's a certain way that we relate as partners. And then we are friends. We take vacations together. We play games together. We have people over and entertain together. He's my comfort person. So we're partners and we're friends and we're lovers. And when I think about the lover part of a marriage, yes, there's the sexual component and the affection component, but I think bigger than that, and what inspires that loverness in a marriage is do you have a sense of adventure? Is there a sense of novelty? You know, anytime that we have that excitement, that's what kind of gets us all like, ooh, electrified, right? And so I think of, if I'm giving advice to a newly married couple, I would say something like, if you're in partner mode and you're wanting to build a fence with your spouse, and they're in friend mode and they want to enjoy being outside in the glorious air, you guys are going to have some tension. So part of it is understanding those three roles. And then part of it is, can we get on the same page at the same time? And learning to do that, while I can maybe articulate it quickly, learning to do that is a lifetime project, right?
Yeah, but you know, I could see that that same kind of advice would transfer over to friends or relationships with children or relationships with anybody, because often you are in a different, you have different things, unless it's a person that your role is always the same, if it's a colleague and you're always in the same mode. But with our very close relationships, we often do have different kinds of styles, and where we are at a certain time and recognizing that. I remember, I think it was called, I don't remember what the book I read was called, but they even talked about, we each have like a parent self and it was, maybe it was an adult self, a child self, and a parent, and you kind of have to look at what self you are when you're saying whatever you're saying, and each of those selves can have a positive, I guess, and a negative, kind of like you could be a spoiled, moody child, or you might be a playful, happy child in what you're, how you're communicating. So,
well, and so in a relationship, like if one person is coming and they're having a problem, they're wanting solved, it very much depends on what are they looking for, what kind of relationship are they looking for in that moment. Because like, if I have my partnership hat on, I'm going to try to fix that problem. But if I have my friend hat on, I'm just going to listen and say, I just want you to feel loved and held. And those are two really different ways of responding. And so it does help sometimes, you know, when you're in a relationship, to just kind of be looking, what's needed here? And sometimes you can just ask straight out, do you want help solving this? Or do you just kind of need to know that you're okay and you need to vent a little bit?
That's so interesting, Rebecca, because I had that almost exact conversation with my sister. It was thinking in terms of our personalities. I'm really a problem solver, so I almost always go right to problem solving, and she is very much wanting empathy. And so we talked about this, and I said, you know, it might be helpful for like when you're telling me about a problem that you ask, you know, you let me know, do you just want, you're just venting now, or are you wanting me to brainstorm with ways to fix it? And she said, I always don't want you to fix it. I never want you to fix it. I just want you to listen. And which, you know, was really good that we kind of laughed, because it's like, and I'm always just right in there like, okay, what are you going to do now? I think probably with us both being coaches, that sort of feels like our go-to place of when we hear a problem, like let's brainstorm and figure out how we're going to fix it. And a lot of times people just want to have the opportunity to be heard and listened to and be empathized with, and not go into problem solving.
So I'm curious, do you feel like your relationship with your sister has shifted?
Yes, I mean, we really thought that was we both agreed that was a huge kind of aha moment with both of us, to recognize that. And so it was really good to understand, you know, that there are those different styles, and as you said, different kinds of roles that we play, and to sort of understand which one maybe is our go-to place and what the other person's go-to place is. So
totally. And sometimes I think it's okay, you know, in a relationship, if you're always catering to the other person's go-to place, every once in a while you can say, you know what, I'm out of resources, so all I have to give is my go-to today. And if that's not okay with you, we probably shouldn't chat today, because you know what I mean?
Well, we said, I mean, when my sister said, I never want you to fix things, I just want you to empathize. I said, I can do that, but just, you'll know that's not my natural self. And so I'm afraid if we're always, especially if it's the same problem that I've heard, I know I will tend to get like irritated. I mean, I'll know in my butt, even if I'm saying to myself, I should not be problem solving, I may be a little like, well, why are you telling me that again kind of attitude, which would of course make her upset. And again, we have been in that place before. So she admitted, she recognized that she has to not, you know, she has to cater to my go-to place, which means that maybe not, you know, maybe that we brainstorm a little bit sometimes if she's going to tell me, or maybe she's going to come up with her own ideas, and that's fine too. So
I like it that you're really kind to yourself and you say, I'm going to try, and I might go to my familiar. And that's really, that helps so much in relationships, when you can just own, I'm going to do my best. And
yeah, and so I think we both know, and we have talked even since then about kind of like recognizing, just having that self-awareness of where we both come from, and that helps just immensely. And so yeah, I think that's wonderful. So, you know, Rebecca, you've given some great advice on connection. My other piece of this podcast, it has to do with living fully and positivity and happiness. And of course, if we have strong relationships, that's going to lead to the happiness. But I do like to ask the guests about, you know, their happy place, and also end on trying to know, you know, advice on, if you only had a year to live, what would you be doing? What's a meaningful life look like for you?
okay, I want to answer what my happy place is.
Okay, yeah.
It's, and I'm happy to answer your other question too. I've had a couple, like, just, you know, normal bad days recently, and gosh, in the midst of coronavirus, those seem to be magnified, you know, problems that before we could handle, they kind of bowl us over. I know that if I do something that has to do with sorting, like, you know, putting things in containers, cleaning out a closet, cleaning out a drawer, or a little art project that is tactile, but if it involves color and sorting, I'm just healed. and when I've told people this, they go, me too. Like, I clean out a closet to calm down. Or I'm going to show you my latest thing. Can you see these little, I've just been bending wire. I had these ornaments for my 30th anniversary party, and I'm trying to find a way to display them. And so just doing that, do something with your hands. That was I remember my father said that to me when I was young and I was in a grumpy mood. Go do something with your hands, make something. That changes my mood like nothing else. And going outside.
So I want, you know, in preparation for this podcast, I've just been researching and finding so many wonderful websites and books and all kinds of things. And there were two things I did recently that reminded me what you just said. One is Gretchen Rubin. Do you know Gretchen Rubin?
Love.
So she, you know, wrote this book, Outer Order, Inner Calm. And she just prototyped, or she, you know, I love the experiment. She just did a little experiment where every day she would send you a little challenge about some kind of putting something in order, you know, and every day you'd get a different little challenge. And, you know, I like that too. It's kind of like a scavenger hunt. So I'll have to tell you more about that, but it was really fun. The other one was Joyful. There's a book called Joyful, and I read this book, and then I went to the author's website. Her name is Ingrid. I can't remember her last name, but she has a website. She has all kinds of wonderful resources, and she has a Facebook page, and she calls it Joy Spotters. And it's got the most wonderful pictures. So many people are on there, and they're posting beautiful, colorful pictures of things they see every day. I posted one today of this colorful chair that I saw in downtown Louisville. And so it's really fun. You would love it. And so,
Okay, I'll take a look.
yeah. All right. So now next question, a year left to live.
Year left to live. I would like to think that I would do more of what I'm already doing. I know that the first thing that comes into my mind, though, is I go, are my primary relationships in order? So immediately I go, my children's photo albums. And I might just try to make sure that kind of thing was in order. But I think partly I would want to continue learning. So I would continue researching the class I'm teaching. I would continue to develop those kinds of relationships. Lifelong learning. If I can be learning something the day before I die, oh, what a gift, right? And I like the fact that because I'm not in school, I get to design what it is that I learn for the day, by asking myself a question, how do I want to be more empathetic today? How do I want to be more understanding? How can I'm watching my son's dog right now. How can I bond with this dog in a way that it will respond when I call it? Just stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I know you are a very intentional person and you do learn more than every day. I mean, I think you just are continually learning with, each conversation and each thing you do. So I feel pretty confident that on that last day, you'll still be learning. So, anyway, and I always learn so much from you. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm very excited about that.
Thank you for including me. I am so thrilled to be included. Thank you so much. You are doing the right thing, because Carpe Diem is exactly how you live.
Well, that's music to my ears. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.